Welcome to the Digital PR Show. You want the future of marketing and PR? You've come to the right place. We're spilling all the secrets on what it really takes to crush it in PR, digital marketing, and agency life. No jargon and no gatekeeping. Whether you're building a brand, scaling a biz, or just here for the hot takes, we've got you covered. Let's get digital.
Welcome to the Digital PR Podcast. Today, I am joined by two amazing people, the CEO, the president, and co-founders of CIPR Communications. And I feel so lucky that I get to have both of you as my bosses. So I'm looking forward to our conversation today. There's a lot of exciting things happening at CIPR. And today, I think this is a really cool topic because we get to go way back here and talk about all things CIPR. So I met you guys both, I think about 10 years ago now. And I think you were kind of at the infancy of, well, I thought you guys were just starting off, but little did I know that you already had 5 years kind of history before I even met you. So I want you to bring me all the way back to the beginning days and tell me about how CIPR started. Tell me the origin story, if you will.
So CIPR started for me as really my side hustle. When I was finishing my master's in school, it became a really great mechanism for me to be able to just pay some bills. And so I was studying at the time social media engagement. I feel like this probably ages me, ages all of us, but it is when social media was a thing, like the beginning of Facebook, the beginning of, Obama, right? Like him using social media to galvanize a huge amount of young people to vote. In Calgary, more specifically, we had Nenshi, who was a previous mayor of the city, now leader of the NDP in our province, using social media. So I focused on that in terms of my thesis. I had really great conversations with media. I held focus groups throughout the province, media, politicians, and then just actually students. I ended up talking to some really cool kids, literally from Red Deer, that had started a Facebook group about a bill that was being passed in Alberta around education and rights. And they made the group and overnight went viral. They woke up to hundreds of thousands of people in the province in this group. And so, you make your own way. So all of a sudden I was this social media expert. And so most of my contracts at the beginning were that. And again, I was a comms major. I knew PR. It became a way for me to facilitate it. And then I went and, again, kept it on the side of my desk. I actually had some of our original full-time staff actually were part-time back in the day. So those clients who've been with us for a while remember Brad. Brad was one of my first part-time employees back in the day too, helping with social media. If any of our current clients especially know Andy Popko, you guys, Kendall, you know him well from doing the Stampede Party with him. His son worked part-time for me for a long time too. And so that's where it started. And then, I went and got a big girl job like everyone does, and then looked around and my leadership had changed. I had some really cool experiences. And all of a sudden I looked at Peter one night. I knew I wasn't going to be happy long-term in the corporate world I was in. And I said, hey, what if I do this crazy thing? And I gave 4 weeks notice, used the 4 weeks to just shore up some tiny contracts at the beginning. And here we are 10 years later.
Amazing. Peter, I know your background is in public relations as well. What kind of was the turning point for you? When did you kind of to see this as becoming your full-time gig too?
I guess had a similar experience to Christina. Obviously, she started the company, as she mentioned, as her side hustle. I was more working full time. She was doing full time work plus some side contracts. And, she just hasn't mentioned this, but through CIPR, she also was the deputy campaign manager for the PC Party of Alberta at the time, which doesn't even exist anymore in 2012. So that was a pretty big contract, which actually led to one of our first major contracts, which was Tourism Kamloops, where we met you, Kendall. So there's a little bit of a full circle story there. So I was working at a number of different places. My first job was at the Alberta Legislature, where I was helping politicians with writing speeches, with research, things like that. And then I started doing PR and advocacy for a number of organizations like the Chamber of Commerce, the Retail Council of Canada, Merit Contractors Association. And similar to Christina, I had a bit of a leadership change. My president of Merit who was a really, really amazing leader, decided to retire. And a new guy came in and thought that was a good time for me to go ahead and join Christina. I think maybe, I don't know, 6 months after she went full time or a year after or something along those lines. Tourism Kamloops was one of our first early bigger clients. We had a number of smaller clients, and I think we're 4 or 5 months pregnant with twins. Those are fun, interesting early days. I think the first time was pregnant, and we came back and we had babies and grandparents, the whole kit and caboodle, so that we can make things happen and have meetings happen.
I remember meeting you guys for the first time and just thinking, well, particularly Christina, like, who is this lady coming in who's younger than me, has these little babies, and like is running the strategy here for Tourism Kamloops? Like, I was so impressed by you. Honestly, it's amazing. So let's just talk a little bit about PR. You said that kind of started off as, social media, and those were your first contracts coming in. When did you guys start, like, it sounds like Peter, you joining was kind of maybe when some of the PR activities began, but maybe speak to that a little bit. When did that kind of become what, CIPR is known for? And what are some of the transitions you've seen over the course of the last 15 years, like the big shifts where PR started and now where it's going today? Maybe we'll start with Christina and then move to Peter.
Yeah, I mean, for me, as much as the social media aspect, while it was my side hustle, got me going, it was my background in PR that really kind of sustained the business. So Peter mentioned kind of the political work I did was all PR, was all community relations, was all media relations, media training, prepping people, issues management. I really am just a PR girl at heart. I big fan of Scandal. I used to think, okay, I'll be her when I grow up. Maybe with less dead bodies. And so when I went out on my own, I would say probably it was a 50-50 split for me. I was doing a lot of social because that was the name of the game at that point in time, right? That was the emergence of Facebook pages and people going I need a young person to figure this out for me. And so it was that. And then 50% was, doing what we do every day in terms of writing media releases, pitching them out. What I'll say too, just my own evolution and looking, it's the amount of time spent, and I talk about this a lot with clients. I was a one-woman show. I didn't have $30,000 to invest in a PR tool like we do now that has lists of journalists and understanding their pitches and understanding what they want to see and all their contact information. I was sitting grinding it out for 8 to 10 hours, just scouring the internet, looking for who's the editor of X magazine or who's the latest columnist for this in this area. I was building media lists from scratch with Google. And then with the connections I had made pounding pavement, I feel like there was something rewarding about that, but really that was the business. And that's what I was kind of doing over and over again. Yeah, Peter, I don't know. You've seen that evolution firsthand.
Yeah, I mean, I think for us, both having cut our teeth in politics, I mean, PR was the game, right? That is how politics works and worked and continues to work. And what's interesting to me about the whole PR conversation is obviously we sort of, kept running into clients that wanted, do you do SEO? Do you do paid ads? And do you do all these things? And so, that's where we brought in the WSI relationship, I don't know, maybe about 6 years ago now, because, we kept running into clients that were looking for those services. Christina also didn't mention this, but has a very strong website and web background. And so, had that experience, wasn't necessarily looking to do that work, but, clients were looking for it. And so at that point, we decided to be more of a full service agency where we offered the PR, the website design and development, the digital marketing components of it. But what's really interesting to me about all of this is just how full circle, having this conversation at this time in the world where, now AI search is coming back in, PR is becoming more important again, digital PR is more important again. But really, it's all really the foundational brand building work and the foundational sort of quote unquote link building, which is, getting mentioned in third party publications and third party places online, which is really the foundation of PR. So for me, it's actually so interesting to see, I think digital marketing over the last 15, 20 years became something that people just did because it was easy, and they moved away from doing PR because it's harder. And, as it turns out, that the companies that sort of did the hard work throughout all this time are well positioned now, no matter what, in this new search everywhere environment that we're in. And so, yeah, it's just such an interesting kind of full circle how it's come back. And now everybody's talking about PR again. And here we are, super well positioned on the PR side, also, very capable on the digital side and bringing, really digital PR together, which is what we've been talking about over the last little while, to bring the best of both worlds to clients where they need it and how they need it, right? So, yeah, it's a fascinating journey, and I think these things kind of cycle through every once in a while, and we're sort of at a pivotal time, I think, in the whole PR space.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned back in the day you were doing social because that was just what, it was new and what people needed and it was the name of the game back then. And it's interesting to see, like you said, Peter, this full circle moment where all of a sudden that is also the name of the game again. And all these things that were once are now again. So I've watched your guys' journey. As I mentioned, I've known you for almost a decade now. So from the sidelines, I've watched and seen this kind of continual growth. And we often talk about in, a world where agencies are shrinking or disappearing completely, you too have been able to build a company that just has this forward momentum, which I don't see slowing down. How have you been able to maintain your core values from when you started to now growing to the number of people on the team? Like, what has remained consistent, would you say, through this whole journey?
Level of craziness. I mean, it is hard. Like the culture question is hard for me because I think it has been one of our most difficult journeys. You talk about, I think values-based business is probably that consistent principle that, we are who we are. Like we often joke internally, like, we're a vibe. Like, you got to vibe with us to work with us, whether that's a staff person or a client. We are who we are. If, I feel like you know us personally, Kendall, but like those who know us personally, like they know what Peter and I are all about. Like we certainly wear our hearts on our sleeves. We are authentically who we are, and we don't apologize for that. And that is how we run this business too. And I think that, fortunately for us, that attracts a really cool team. And it also attracts a really cool roster of clients. I think that, we've learned a lot of lessons over the years. I think, an important one is that we're still learning is when it's not a vibe, how to cut it quickly so that we don't lose momentum. I think that's probably one of the valuable lessons when you're starting out, and I'm sure Peter can add stories to this. Like I said yes to anything. Like when I was a one-woman show, especially the fact that I had a web dev background too, like some of the things I was working on for people were wild, but it was just me. And it was like, okay, I don't really even know how long I'm going to be doing this for. And this is paying some bills and whatever, I'll figure it out. And similarly too, when Peter joined me and we started building a bigger team, we were saying yes to mostly everything. And so I think that's been an interesting evolution and lesson, but really the consistent piece there is that values-based business and all goes back to, I think what we know, some core beliefs that we have, which I think, Peter, you've been instrumental in kind of developing core beliefs and trust factors and things like that. But I don't know, it hasn't been an easy road, that's for sure. Like there are days I look back on and it's like, I'll be just in tears and you want to blow it all up because that is the life of an entrepreneur, right? Like there is no consistency in terms of the way you feel, because some days feels amazing and some days feels like, oh God, what am I doing? But I feel like that's what makes it fun. And that's what makes, I feel like, the victories even sweeter, probably.
I'll just maybe add and just say, from a values perspective, kind of probably the most important core value that's probably kind of kept us going here is client focus. At the end of the day, it's really not about us. It's about our clients and it's about their success and it's about doing whatever it takes to help them succeed and doing good by them, right? And so I think if you have a good client focused philosophy, you're going to make mistakes, things are going to happen, the world's going to change. But if I think if clients feel like you have their best interests at heart, then everything could work. And that even means sometimes, to Christina's point, we fired some pretty big clients over the years because they weren't really the right alignment with us from a values perspective, or things just weren't aligned. And that's also being client focused, right? It's not that certain organizations have a certain way of working, and alignment is everything, right? And I would say the other kind of important thing, and it's probably kind of where my role fits in the most, is keep us moving forward. The digital world is constantly changing. It's now more than ever. And so we can't just keep doing the same thing over and over again. We got to keep evolving. We got to keep innovating. We got to stay on top of things. Our clients don't have time to figure out what's going on with search and Google and AI and all these things. Like, that's our job. And so to me, client focus means we got to put in the effort and the time, and then we got to come back to our clients and just have, transparent conversations. So, again, with this AI search thing, it's like, unfortunately, it's getting more challenging. It's getting more difficult. It's probably going to cost people more money. It's not news anybody wants to hear, but it's news we need to deliver because everybody wants to keep their businesses running, and got to do what you got to do, right? And so that's all part of being client focused in my mind, and I think that's kind of the key to success. And then beyond that, last thing is just having some diversified revenue streams. My dad was an entrepreneur growing up, and he always had his main business and then his sort of secondary business and then 2 or 3 small things on the side. And I grew up watching that, and I grew up seeing downturns where, this was completely down, but he had this on the side where he can sort of leverage it and sort of put his people to work and keep people working, on this, and then, come back. And so to me, as an entrepreneur, you always have to be flexible, and you always have to sort of have a couple irons in the fire, because not everything is just all uphill and smooth all the way, all the time. So I think those are a few keys to success.
What I'll say too is I think we've just done a good job at just worrying about ourselves from a CIPR perspective. There are so many agencies over the years that we have watched that have pivoted, changed into something new, into this next thing. And I think that Peter and I have done a fairly good job. I mean, sometimes better than others, at just staying our course and trusting our gut and running our numbers and moving forward with what's been successful for us. I think that over the years we've seen, other agencies go, we're going to charge this for this. And we go, it doesn't feel like the right cost, whether it be higher or lower from what we're perceiving or what we're doing, or, we're going to double down and just focus on this thing. And it's I think we need to kind of drive this way, or, you have, when you do web, you have to do it this way, and you have to take ownership, and you have to, I don't know, we kind of believe different. So I think for us too, while we have been aware of our competition over the years, I don't think we have ever truly believed we have competition. We are who we are. Again, we know we will attract the right clients. And so by keeping our eyes on our own pile, we don't, get caught up in that war. And I do see other agencies, fortunately or unfortunately, get caught up in that and really kind of just nosedive, because now they're trying to execute something that worked for someone else that isn't necessarily going to work for you. And I always just take we've been talking about digital PR for a long time, and then selling that service and talking to our clients about it. And I remember a few months ago, all of a sudden it's all over LinkedIn, and it's yeah, we were right. We were a little before our time, and we're ahead of the curve. So again, if we were just blindly following, we would have missed our opportunity to be the ones who were really kind of christening that service into the market.
Yeah, that's some great advice. I know entrepreneurship is a grind, and I think you two hustle and work so hard, and you have a family, and you guys are married, working together. There's just so many factors that I see you guys work through, and it's really impressive. I just want to know a little bit about, what does the next chapter look like? Where is CIPR going in the next, let's just say 5 years? Because I feel like the future is changing so fast. Maybe we'll just focus on the next kind of 5 years. Maybe I'll throw it to you, Peter.
I really see us as more and more as a support organization for digital transformation and for AI transformation. I think it's nobody should be surprised by now by the fact that the world is changing extremely fast. And I always kind of talk about, obviously we have Tourism AI Network, which we launched. I'm hoping to get going soon on Tourism Ops AI, which is a software tool. And for me, it's, every single organization, I kind of say it, every single organization needs to do 2 things. They need to adapt, or they need to adopt AI and figure out how to adopt it in their organizations, and they need to adapt to AI, which is their digital presence vis-a-vis AI search, all that kind of stuff, right? And those are the 2 sort of areas where I think we have some strength and some abilities. And, we started off with Tourism AI Network with some training services, which we will continue to provide. But really what I'm realizing is that a lot of the small, medium-sized businesses that we want to serve, that we do serve and that we want to continue to serve, just need things done for them. They just need, I don't have time to learn all this. I don't have time to figure this all out. Can you just help me, just do it for me, kind of thing, right? And obviously with them. And so I think that's the evolution that needs to happen. I think that's where Tourism Ops AI fits in my world, in my perspective. And then, similarly adapting to the digital environment and making sure they can be found everywhere where their clients are and all those types of things. That's what we're here for. That's what we're good at. That's what we're experts in. And my transition I'd like to see from a pure sales perspective is I want to get away from here's a list of services we're going to provide. And I just want to get to what are your goals? What is your budget? And let us, within your goals and within your budget, help you crush it. And that's it. Because we need flexibility in this quickly changing world. And I think that's the way to get there.
Yeah, thanks, Peter. This was strategically done this way so Christina could close us out. So, Christina, where do you see CIPR in the next 5 years, the next chapter?
Yeah, I mean, to Peter's point, like there is this need to diversify. I think that, all marketing agencies are looking to the future and scratching their heads in terms of what is next. What's really interesting and I think what's really favorable for us is this fact that, AI does allow us to do things more effectively, more efficiently, moving things forward. So, to Peter's point, yeah, absolutely. I'd love to move to the model of trust where, yep, I don't know what I'm doing with PR and marketing. You do. Here's the budget. Go crush it for us. And I mean, I've had this conversation. I feel like, Kendall, we've had this conversation on the podcast before. 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 hours of work was like getting one press release out the door and pitching it. Now 10 hours of work is, an incredible amount of assets to be able to be used far and wide. Can anyone do those things? Maybe, but can anyone do them, strategically with the investment they've made in tools, with the speed, with the ease, with the level of expertise in terms of how we've created the makeup of our team? I don't think so. So again, I do think the evolution is just like, I think clients are evolving. I think the mindset of other business owners and entrepreneurs is evolving. And so we need to evolve alongside them so that we can kind of continue to foster that trust in an age where like things aren't as crystal clear as like a list of services anymore. I think about SEO too. I had this conversation with the marketing team the other day in terms of like when someone says they want SEO with us, they're not only just like signing a contract, they're like signing over to us saying we will do everything we can. We will stay on top of the trends to make sure that you are ranking high. And it is our job to understand algorithms and backlinking and technicalities and how content writing is changing and all of those things. It is not the client's responsibility. And so, I mean, very similarly, right? So Q digital PR, we know that that's matters hugely for whether it's SEO or GEO at this point. So again, it's this evolving need to stay on top of trends that are changing faster than ever before. So, in the past, I would say 2 years of our business, it has changed more than in the past 15.
Yeah, it'll be amazing to see where it goes. So I want to congratulate both of you on 15 years of success. And I'm excited to be a part of the future with you both. Thanks for the great conversation today.
Thank you. I'm glad that we met way long ago and that I just followed your life on Instagram and replied to your story at the right time.
That is perfect.
Thank you, Kendall, because we wouldn't be here without great staff like you. So it takes a team, and you're a critical part of that team. So we appreciate it.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
See you next time.
Well, there you have it. That's a wrap on this episode of the Digital PR Show, where the future is digital and so are we. Make sure you subscribe or catch us on socials at CIPR Comms or on the web at CIPRcommunications.com. Talk soon.